what had occurred inside the MGM.
He just beat up Lane.
And then that's when Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson.
He was in the hotel, yeah, the rest of the MGM and the restaurant. There was a few New Yorkers, though, who was with Zip. Like, man, y'all need some help? Well, we got this.
That's what they said?
Yeah.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Following this incident, Tupac and Suge Knight both left the MGM to make their way to a post-fight party, which was to occur at a local nightclub.
According to Keefe D, Zip and some other guys from New York approach him. They say, hey, you know, we got your back on this. You need some help. And Keefe D says, no, got my boys, we'll handle this. Zip, who knows about Puffy's offer to Keefe, says this is a good time to take care of that thing.
Shit, it was right there. This is a perfect opportunity, baby.
That was Zip talking?
Yeah.
Because of what happened with Lane.
Yeah.
He says, but we have no, we don't have any weapons. And Zip says something to the effect of, I can help you out with that. They go out to the car. Zip gives him a Glock, and then they go after, on the hunt.
So one of the little homies, like, they've been advertising that they giving a concert at the 662 Club.
Zip offers Keefe D the .40 caliber Glock that he has stashed in his Mercedes out in the parking lot.
He told me in the lobby that he had some Jimmys.
Some what?
He had a Jimmy in that Benz. He had a little secret compartment. The thing popped out. It popped up. Popped up, yeah.
In the armrest?
Yeah.
Backing up Keefe's story, we had a cooperating witness who was present at the MGM that night after Orlando Anderson was beat down. He testifies to the fact that he sees Orlando Anderson bleeding from the head, and he sees the group get together to start to plan the retaliation. In fact, he heard one of the guys say, "Fuck that shit. What Tupac think this is? We gangbang out here." The witness also confirms that he overheard Zip say, "We have artillery out here," meaning guns. He tells Zip, "Hey, we're gonna go handle this shit or whatever."
Yeah, they act like, y'all want us to come? We like, we know where them motherfuckers at. They was telling us that they gonna be at the 662 Club. So we go up there to the 662 Club. Wait about an hour. They didn't ever show up or nothing like that.
You get out of the car with Zip after everything. What do you say to him? Like, man, we're gonna handle this like great.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead. He's like, yeah, show the perfect time,
Okay, then you jump out of the car, and then what happens?
I got in the van with the busters. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so Lane and Cadillac with T. Brown and Dre.
Yeah.
Y'all go with the van. It's 2 cars go to 662.
Yeah, the van and the Cadillac.
Keefe D. Orlando Anderson and half a dozen of the other Crip gang members get into 2 vehicles and drive directly to the 662 Club, where Tupac Shakur is expected to be performing later that night. They park in the parking lot, anticipating Tupac's arrival, and simply lie in wait for him.
They didn't show up. We waited about 15, 20 minutes. They didn't show up. So they was like, let's go get some liquor. Yeah. So we was on our way home, stopped and got some liquor. We stopped at the liquor store.
Keefe D gets out of the van and gets into the Cadillac with Terrence, Dre, and Orlando. So there were 2 cars that originally went over towards the 662.
I got out the van with their ass and jumped in the Cadillac. Them motherfuckers busted, they scared.
According to Keefe D, some of the guys are getting nervous. So he jumps in the Cadillac with 3 other guys and decides to handle it on their own.
After Davis obtained a gun, he entered into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Based on our investigation, this is where we know they were seated.
Who all was in the car that night?
So you have in the back seat DeAndre Smith. He's sitting in the left passenger seat. And then you have Orlando on the right. And then in the front seat is Keefe D as a passenger. And then Terrence Brown is driving the Cadillac. The Cadillac is being driven by Terrence Brown. In the front passenger seat is Keefe D. Behind the driver is DeAndre Smith. And in the right rear passenger seat is Keefe's nephew, Orlando Anderson. In addition to Keefe D's statement, We had other evidence confirming that the 4 people he said were in the Cadillac were in fact in Vegas that weekend. Orlando Anderson, of course, was on tape at the MGM, and Keefe D, his uncle, admitted to being there. T. Brown, however, for his part, denied that he was in Vegas that weekend.
Don't tell me that you didn't go to Las Vegas. What you're going to tell me, Terry, is who you went there with and where you stayed. Go to Las Vegas.
However, he was arrested less than a month later with Las Vegas postcards in his possession, and DeAndre Smith confirmed that both he and Brown were in Vegas the night Tupac was shot. With Keefe D and his crew ready to do this, they set out to find Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur.
Then we came up Harmon, got to Las Vegas Boulevard. We get to Flamingo and Vegas Boulevard for to make that left.
As they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval.
Then we came up Harmon, got to Las Vegas Boulevard, and shit, here they coming at BMW, a gang of cars. Here we see this dude, skinny man, Tupac.
Weren't some girls yelling though?
Yeah, he was like, Tupac. He was hanging all out the window like he was in a parade.
Keefe D claims that the girls who were riding alongside Tupac and Suge Knight are what drew their attention to the BMW. They're screaming out his name, Tupac, Tupac.
She was like, there's Suge. Like, and then he was like, come on, come go with me. Come go with us. We going to 662.
And bros, Tupac, Tupac. Damn, then we like, there he go. Made a U-turn. We like, there they go. Made a U-turn. We wasn't supposed to make a just wanted a U-turn. They was in the middle lane. We just pulled up on the side to check every car to see where they was.
So what directed your attention to him was some girl shouting at Tupac?
Tupac! He gave himself away. Otherwise, they would have got away.
Due to traffic conditions and the configuration of Suge and Tupac's caravan, the white Cadillac is forced to pull up on the right side of their BMW.
They located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and in the passenger seat was Tupac Shakur. And as they turned around, they pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur.
I thought he was going to pull on my side. You know, that's my little nephew. I'm going to look out for him, you know. And he pulled on their side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, if we would have been on my side, I would have blasted.
Okay. Keefe D, who's seated in the right front passenger seat of the white Cadillac and who has the gun, realizes that he's not going to be in a position to shoot because he's going to have to shoot across the car and across the face of his driver.
At some point in time, as they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle.
Keefe D turns around to hand the gun to the back seat, attempting to give it to DeAndre Smith, who would be in the best position to shoot. DeAndre resists, puts his hand up and says, nah, no thanks, not me.
I gave it to Dre, and Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, give it to Pop.
Orlando Anderson, who's in the right rear passenger, reaches forward and says, give me that motherfucker. Leans over DeAndre Smith out the back window of the Cadillac and begins shooting rapidly into the BMW.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window, rolled down the window, pop.
So Orlando would have had to lean over the top of Dre, right?
Yeah, he did. After that, boom. Dude, we went up on the side and boom. Made that right. It was over.
When you guys pulled up, you seen Suge. You looked Suge in his eyes?
Yeah.
What'd you feel at that time?
None.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you?
Yeah.
He looks right at you?
Yeah, he looked at me.
Why are you looking right at me?
Fucking known each other since we were 7, 8 years old.
Backing up Keefe D's claim that he and Knight knew each other was a witness who was in Las Vegas, part of the death row entourage, who was present during the shooting of Tupac Shakur, who said that Knight stated he knew who the shooters were and that they were Southside Crips.
I seen a bullet going Suge in. I thought he was dead.
So Tupac's trying to jump in the back seat. And what Suge doing? Just ducking?
Ducking. He couldn't really duck because he was too big, you know? Yeah.
Keefe D has now identified his own nephew as the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
Bolstering Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later. Very few people know that immediately after Tupac is shot and that white Cadillac is fleeing.
Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval, and after our officers arrived on scene, Tupac was later transported to the University Medical Center, where he was treated medically and died approximately 6 days later on September 13th.
One of the death row entourage, a guy named Alton McDonald, known as Buntry, chases after the Cadillac, and a second shooting takes place between the two vehicles. Alton McDonald's car is struck. In fact, within the Las Vegas murder files, there's a document that indicates that Alton McDonald's car had been struck by a bullet that night. As a result, Alton McDonald gives up the chase, and the white Cadillac disappears into the night. This also counters the claim that Suge had set up the Tupac murder. Why would Suge's main enforcer chase after the suspect's vehicle and exchange gunfire if they are all part of the same conspiracy? For his part, Keefe D affirms in his interview that a second shooting does take place. However, he misidentifies the car that's following them as the girls in the green Sebring.
Somebody started shooting this way, they're shooting that way. So we're in the midst of all of this gunfire, and only thing we could think of is get out of there.